like to call our City Commission meeting to order. We'll start with a roll call, please.
Mayor Skidmore.
Present.
Commissioner Kaler.
Present.
Commissioner Reed.
Present.
Commissioner Graves.
Present.
I think we have a quorum then, right?
Yes.
We're good. Out of breath, but we're here,
Yes.
right? Okay. Welcome everybody here in the chambers here, as well as listening to the radio and watching on our Government Access channel. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by our Finance Director, Scott Bird. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the book of Isaiah, chapter 41, verse 10, New King James Version says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Let us pray. Father God in heaven, we pause to give you honor, glory, and praise this evening. Help us remember that we need not fear. If we lean on you, Lord God, we will have no reason to be dismayed, for you will strengthen us. With everything that is going on in this community, help us be bold, but help us be bold in our witness of you and our reliance on you, that we may go forward in this community with new jobs, with new businesses, with new ideas. We pray these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Scott. We'll get right down to business. We have the consent agenda, which will include the minutes from the February 15th special call study session, the February 17th, 2016 special call, also the regular meeting for February 22nd study session, as well as the agenda approval. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner,
I would move that we approve those sets of minutes that you listed in tonight's agenda.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries there. Do we have any public comments tonight?
No, sir.
None. Okay. We'll go on to the next item, number 9. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. We're all good there. We'll go on to item number 10 then.
A proclamation recognizing March 6th through the 12th, 2016 as Girl Scout Week.
This proclamation commemorates the 104th year anniversary of Girl Scouting in the United States and the valiant service Ottawa girls have brought to this community. Marcela Rodriguez-Hill and other Girl Scouts will accept the proclamation, but first we will have Sarah Kaler read that for us.
Good evening. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas Girl Scouts is the largest, longest running, most effective leadership program for girls in the nation and in the world. And whereas the first meeting was held by Juliet Gordon Lowe in March 1912 after visiting the founders of both Boy Scouts and Girl Guides in England. And whereas the first meeting of more than 50 million girls have participated in the Girl Scout movement during their childhood. And that number continues to grow as Girl Scouts of the United States continues to inspire, challenge, and empower girls everywhere. And whereas there are over 21,000 girls and 8,500 adult members in Girl Scouts of Northeast Kansas and Northwest Missouri, and more than 3 million members in the United States. And whereas 69% of the current U.S. Senators and 60% of the House of Representatives were Girl Scouts as girls. And whereas an estimated 80% of women business executives and business owners were once Girl Scouts. And whereas countless women educators, scientists, and women in the media and performing arts discovered their passions and talents as Girl Scouts. Now, therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas does hereby proclaim March 6th through 12th, 2016 as Girl Scout Week and March 12th as the 104th anniversary of Girl Scouts and Girl Scout Day in the City of Ottawa, and urges all citizens to join in celebrating Girl Scout programming and activities in our community. Signed this the 2nd day of March 2016 by our Mayor, Michael B. Skidmore.
Okay, we'll present that. Is that, come on up here. I'll just shake your hand first, we'll get a picture, then we'll have you say a few words.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hold on. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Podium's yours.
Thank you very much. We're so pleased to have Girl Scout Week be official here in Ottawa, Kansas. I'm pleased to report that we currently have 160 Girl Scouts and 52 Girl Scout adult volunteers here in Franklin County. And I'd love for you all to hear a little bit from my Girl Scout friends. We have Kennison, Channing, Amelia, and Marissa who are here to share some of their thoughts with all of you. Girls, you can come on up.
Hi, my name is Amelia Kaler, and I am a part of Troop 1400. My 5 favorite things to do with Girl Scouts is, first, I love to make new friends. Second, I love going on field trips with my Girl Scout troop. Third, selling cookies. Fourth, going camping. And fifth, singing Girl Scout songs is one of my many favorite things. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Channing Hawes, and I'm from Troop 1400. Here are my top 5 favorite things about Girl Scouts. 1. Trips. My favorite trip with Girl Scouts was staying the night at the KC Zoo. 2. Camping. My favorite thing about camping is making s'mores. 3. Making friends. Some of my friends are Amelia, Emma, and Ava Payton. 4. Selling cookies. My favorite is peanut butter patties. 5. Singing songs. Some songs are 40 Years on an Iceberg, Super California Surfer Expert on the Ocean, Dumb Moose, and Bazooka Bubblegum.
See that?
What I like about being a Girl Scout is crafts and selling cookies. What's your name? Kennison Daisy.
Hello. Oh, God. Hello. What's this thing? I'm so confused. Okay. Hi, my name is Marissa Seymour, and I am a member of Troop 1727, and I have been in Girl Scouts for 7 years. One of the best things that we have learned about being in Girl Scouts is running our own business and cookie sales, and just learning how to maintain a business and sales, and just partnership of the business and how to maintain it and make it go long. Thank you.
Very good. Good job.
Thank you again very much, and we always have room for more Girl Scouts here in Girl Scouting, and a couple weeks left of cookie season, but we invite everyone to kind of participate with Girl Scouts here over the next week, and thank you very much.
Thank you. While we have you all get up here, all the Girl Scouts who are here, come up here, let's stand by and get another photo op, and whether you spoke or you didn't speak and you're in Girl Scouts, come on up, stand behind us here. We got the room open this side.
Kennison, come over. We got room for little girls. Hey, Kennison, come over here. We got room for maybe
A lot of room here, girls.
I'm sure too.
We can go.
Moving down.
All behind the commissioners and mayor.
Yeah, you want to come up here so they can see right here, Shannon?
Good, yeah. See that?
A little bit more in this way.
Can you see them all? Can you see them?
All right, 1, 2, 3.
We good? Everybody got enough there? Good.
Thank you,
Girls,
ladies.
congratulations. Thank you.
Lots of cookies. Yeah.
I just think what a great promotion you all had with Chris Rock on the Oscars selling cookies. I think he sold $65,000. Anybody get top that?
We should have had him bring cookies tonight and work them out tonight, right?
That's right.
Why didn't we think about that?
That's great. Congratulations, girls. That's great. Thanks for coming, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we'll move on to item number 11.
A proclamation recognizing March 19, 2016 as National Quilters Day.
In 1989, the Kentucky Heritage Quilt Society organized the Quilters Day Out on the third Saturday of March to celebrate the rich tradition of quilt making. To commemorate this day, we proclaim March 19, 2016 as Quilters Day in the city of Ottawa, and Glory Music will accept the proclamation, but first we'll have it read by Commissioner Emily Graves.
This is my first proclamation, so it's very exciting.
The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas, in 1989, the Kentucky Heritage Quilt Society organized a Quilters Day Out on the third Saturday of March to celebrate the rich tradition of quilt making. And whereas, encouraged by the enthusiasm generated by the Kentucky effort, the National Quilters Association voted to take Quilters Day Out to a national level. And whereas, even in the first year of National Quilting Day, quilters from other countries asked to participate. And whereas, since 1992, National Quilting Day has grown into a global celebration for all quilt makers and quilt lovers. And whereas, quilters everywhere are encouraged to hold special events to recognize the art and beauty of this most noble of heritage crafts. And whereas, the art and craft of quilting is a vibrant activity within the Ottawa-Franklin County community. Now, therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, does hereby proclaim March 19th as Quilters Day in the City of Ottawa, Kansas, and urges all citizens to join in celebrating this time-honored craft. Signed this second day of March of 2016 by Mayor Michael B. Skidmore.
Okay, and we have somebody to present. Come on up. Want to say a few words? Podium is yours.
On behalf of the Sunflower Peacemakers Quilt Guild, I would like to thank the City Commission for this proclamation honoring National Quilting Day, which is March 20th this year. National Quilting Day began in 1991 by the National Quilting Association to celebrate the unique art form of quilting and as an avenue for community quilt groups to unite and celebrate their interest in quilts as a world community on one designated day. Sunflower Peacemakers was established in 1984 and is dedicated to promoting the art and craft of quilting. Quilting's become so much more than your grandmother using her fabric scraps to make utilitarian blankets for her family's needs. Nationally, $3.76 billion were spent in 2014 on items related to quilts and quilting. According to a 2014 survey completed by Quilting in America, it found that there are more than 16 million active quilters in this country. That's 1 out of every 20 Americans. The majority of these are traditional quilters, but many also embrace art quilting, and many more enjoy modern quilting styles. Many of us enjoy a little bit of all styles. Today's quilters are also tech-savvy and spend over 3.5 hours a week watching quilting-related tutorials online, get inspiration, purchase fabric and/or tools and supplies online, and search for free patterns. To celebrate National Quilting Day this year, our guild will make bibs, burp claws, and receiving blankets at a work day held at Chris's Corner Quilt Shop in Ottawa on March 19th. Members not able to attend that day will make theirs at home and we plan to present them to ECAN representatives at the March 21st meeting. Locally, Sunflower Peacemakers is a very active group. Our annual quilt show and miniature quilt auction is held in September in conjunction with the Power of the Past tractor show. Portions of the proceeds from the auction are given to the Franklin County Historical Society and are used to purchase acid-free storage supplies for the textiles in their collection, as well as other needs. We also actively support the Franklin County Visitors Information Center by providing sponsorship for the Franklin County Quilt Barn Block Tour, and the center curates a monthly quilt display from our guild at the Visitors Information Center, which provides enjoyment not only for local residents, but visitors from all over the United States who visit this center. Many guild members are also volunteers at the Visitors Information Center. Our guild, which currently has 59 members enrolled, meets the third Monday evening each month at 7 p.m. at Westminster Presbyterian Church. After a short business meeting, we enjoy show and tell of our members' latest creations, and then a guest speaker presents a program to give us even more inspiration for our next creation. We have fun exploring, sharing, and learning more about our passion. We welcome anyone interested to visit us to learn about the quilting culture. Thank you again for your support.
Well, thank you.
And it's hard following the cute group of Girl Scouts.
They may be quilters.
Might be. Thank you.
But I've learned something about quilting recently. My wife just made one small quilt for our granddaughter Emma's baby doll. It's like 2 feet by 2 feet, and I didn't realize how much work is involved even for a small quilt for a doll. But anyway, we appreciate the art, and it's a great art and great culture, like you said. So thanks for being here. Appreciate that. We'll move on to item number 12.
An ordinance to amend municipal code for public library treasurer's bond.
This ordinance amends Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-305, Treasurer of Board Duties in the Municipal Code. The bond amount is $5,000, and Terry will speak. Terry?
Our board approved that amount at our meeting on February 1st this year. It's an amount that we've had set for years, but it was drawn to our attention that the board needed to approve it for this requirement.
And you might tell our viewers the cost of the bond and how long it lasts.
It's $250, and it covers 3 years, and then we will renew it every 3 years like that. And I did ask Blaine for advice when we decided on that $5,000 amount.
Very good. Anybody have any other questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Right away.
Just so for the public to understand what's being changed in the code, the code previously said that the library board would set the amount of bond for the treasurer, and then the city commission would have the opportunity to review and approve that amount. And what we've discovered is it's a pretty consistent amount of actual cash that the library board treasurer has access to, and it's really not that much. And so we believe that it was just better, rather than bringing this to you annually and making the library board review it annually, that we just set the minimum in this case, which is $5,000, which we believe is an appropriate bond based on access to cash, and that be the minimum going forward. It can always be higher than that if a review by the library board or the city commission deems that to be appropriate and in the public interest, but we believe this is adequate, and this keeps us from having to review this annually.
Very good. Any other questions anyone have? I'll entertain a motion then.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner?
I move that we approve the ordinance amending the municipal code for a public library treasurer's bond.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A second, okay. Any other discussion on this? Let's have a roll call vote, please.
How do you vote, Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
And I vote yes, too. Motion carries. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Move on to item number 13.
Flood insurance coverage recommendation.
Staff recommends maintaining flood insurance in place on recommended buildings, eliminate certain coverages, and add National Flood and, what is that, NFIP, National Flood
Insurance
Program, I guess. There you go. I got the tough part, but forgot the easy part. Coverages to previously uninsured buildings, and Michelle will take it from there.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. During the 2016 Department Budget Study Session meetings, Mayor Skidmore asked that city staff look at our current flood insurance policies to see if we could increase the premiums to, the deductibles to lower the premiums, and also look to have staff evaluate whether or not we needed to have that coverage in place because there was because of the certified levy. And we began working with our broker, Trust Advantage, in July of last year. So it's been a long process. The city does, as you know, has an accredited levy, and there is still a risk of a flood event. The city has millions of dollars in equipment and buildings that are insured, and some aren't completely insured fully. City facilities are either located in a 500-year flood zone, which there's a 0.2% chance of a flood occurring in any given year, or the 100-year flood zone, and which is a 1% chance of there's a probability of a flood occurring in any given year. The wastewater treatment plant is actually in the 100-year flood zone. Our current coverage, we currently have the warehouse, the Ottawa Municipal Auditorium, the fire station, the police station, the Carnegie Building, Don Woodward Center, and City Hall covered with National Flood Insurance protection coverage. In 2012, when we implemented that coverage, we also added excess coverage on a number of buildings, which brings up the value. If there is a flood event and there's a loss, that'll bring the value up to what we have under our property coverage. Those buildings are the fire station, Carnegie, OMA, City Hall, and the police station. In 2015, our premium was $60,886 for all of the flood insurance coverage. If there was a loss and we all the buildings were destroyed, the city would receive a maximum of about $24 million per our coverage, except for everything located in in basements. The flood coverage pays for claims that are at actual cash value with depreciation applied. After we began this discussion, Scott Bird, our finance director, along with Richard Neinstedt, city manager, sat down and we did a reevaluation of our current policies, and we asked our brokers to get an additional quotes on all of the city properties to see what the NFIP coverage would equate to. With that, we discovered that covering all of the buildings would be an additional $47,000 on top of what we're already paying now, which would bring the total expense for flood coverage to $115,000. So we sat down with applicable department heads, with Richard, with city manager and the finance director, and we looked at the buildings we thought should be covered with the NFIP coverage and some with excess coverage, and we determined that the following buildings should be covered with National Flood Insurance Program coverage: Fire, City Hall, the police station, all the wastewater treatment plant applicable buildings, the water plant, high service building number 2, the water plant shop, the sludge lift building number 3, the water plant shop that has the shop and garage building 4, and the electric production new plant. And in addition, the recommendation would be to continue the excess coverage the fire station, city hall, and the police station. So before you have some alternatives to maintain the flood insurance in place on the recommended buildings that I just listed, eliminate certain coverages that we had previously, and add the NFIP coverage to previously uninsured buildings. You can you can maintain current flood insurance policies that renew in 2016, and those will renew on April 1st, and add NFIP coverage on all city buildings that are not currently insured. We can maintain current flood insurance policies, renew in 2016, and do not add the NFIP coverage on city buildings not currently covered, or terminate all existing policies, all the flood insurance policies. Staff recommends alternative 1, and to do that, the fiscal note would be, we would pay $69,418 April 1 unless our renewal increases, if our premium increases. This compares to what we paid last year. We'd only pay an additional about $2,000 more. What we've budgeted in 2016 in our risk management line item for flood insurance is $88,000. And before you, in the packet, you have a spreadsheet that shows our existing coverage and for city buildings and the proposed new flood coverage and what we elected to not cover and cover. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? I will just point out.
Scott, can I add?
Yeah.
Scott, do I need to add anything additional?
Pretty well.
I was going over the memo pretty much, so.
In case people have a question about our levy system, although it is certified, we can never say it's perfect. We witnessed some levy breaches this last November in the Missouri side. I know at Merrimack River, I believe it was near St. Louis. So even though we have a levy system, we're glad we have it, and it's working well so far. We never know what a day may hold, and so we do have to take extra precaution in the event of a breach. I understand that. At first I didn't, but I do understand that now, so I've corrected myself on what my view was maybe 4 months ago. I want to say, too, a lot of work put involved in this, and so Richard and Scott and Michelle, thank you very much for what you did here, putting this together. The way it looks like to me that we are getting better coverage with about the same amount what we spent last year. And better coverage, I mean insuring our buildings that are critical to us with more insurance, and those that really didn't need insurance we eliminated. Is that your assessment on this?
Yes.
And I do appreciate all department heads coming together, and rather than accepting the status quo of keeping buildings on without even looking at this, I do appreciate all of them looking at their buildings objectively and determining, yes, this needs it, no, this doesn't. So I just want to say I appreciate a lot of work involved in one page of information here, so thank you very much for that. Any other questions anybody have? Richard, you have anything else to add to that? Scott?
I think she covered it well.
That was, all right, very good. I appreciate all your work on this thing. So insurance is something we don't like to spend, but we're glad we have it when we need it. So it's one of those things we do deal with every day. All right, good job. Well, I'll entertain a motion on item 13.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner.
I move that we approve the flood insurance coverage as recommended by staff, which was alternative number 1.
And is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Second there, okay. Any other discussion on this before we vote? Let's take a roll call vote, please.
How do you vote, Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
And I vote yes, too. The motion carries. Thanks very much, folks. And this may be something we look at every 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know. Is there some kind of a thought out there how often we should be looking at our insurance coverage?
We annually, we will look at our policies during renewal, and I can visit with our broker. She'll be out in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And see what she recommends for this particular policy and
Okay.
other policies. Are you just specifically for flood or all?
I would think any
overall?
insurance, yeah, I suppose anything would be good, worth
Okay.
looking at, but
Okay.
I appreciate your work on this, so.
Okay, thank you.
Good job. We'll move on to item number 14.
Request for approval of ordinance annexing land to the city of Ottawa, Kansas.
Properties to be annexed are the city's water tower at 2129 East Wilson Street and city property in the Rock Creek Business Development Park. A lot of numbers there on Montana Road as well as part of Kingman Road. And we'll have Wendy take over.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. As you know, the city acquired a number of parcels for a proposed new industrial park, and as we have been investigating the areas around our city limits for appropriate parcels to consider for annexation, the first and most pressing parcels to consider are the ones we own. And so we present tonight two different areas. The industrial park areas, as you can see outlined up here, that's about 307 acres of ground. Mostly the ground between Montana and the floodplain of Rock Creek and north of Kingman Road. In addition to that, the water tower that was constructed on East Wilson some years back was acquired from property owners that their property was outside the city limits, and so it too is presented to you tonight for annexation as the early annexation process that we consider coming up. We'll have some others in the future, but these are the first two sets to come through. Happy to answer any questions, but it's fairly straightforward when the city owns it.
Anybody have any questions?
Mrs. Lee, can you, if you go back one slide for me? Are we annexing Montana Road?
That's a good question, Commissioner. Because this area is tracks with unplatted parcels, the original way in which rights-of-ways were created was that it was on the ground that was held by the title owner, and so it would say except for right-of-way. When you annex it, then it kind of includes that, though, because that's part of the legal description for the parcel. So, yes, on those parcels that abut either Kingman or Montana, we would be annexing the part that relates to each parcel. And I'm sure the city manager may want to speak to. We had another follow-up conversation with the county about those rights-of-ways.
Is that to the middle of the road?
To the middle, no. To the middle, the discussion has been previously that the county, as part of your agreement with the county, as they consider working towards the development of those roads, would be that they would acquire the right-of-way necessary for the development of the roads, and then at that time, we'd have a complete legal description of the right-of-way and would annex the balance.
So, Commissioners, Mrs. Lee and I met with the county administrator, Mr. Holmes, last week, and I asked the question again, do you have any objection if we go ahead and we annex the half of the right-of-way as part of this action? And he indicated the commission had no objection to us annexing that or the right-of-way, and that would in no way abrogate our agreement with them.
So, is it fair to say that we are not annexing all of Kingman Road? We are annexing only just the part that we own to the middle of the road?
Yes.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yes, that's excellent.
We probably do want to clarify, Kingman Road to the west of these parcels, that entire right-of-way is inside the city limits.
Okay.
But, Mrs. Lee, could you go over again the part where you said when they get ready to develop that as part of the development plan? I got lost there. I thought I understood.
And let me back up a little bit more. We actually, several months ago, Mr. French and I actually met with the abutting property owners and advised them at that time that the city commission and the county in their agreement would move through several steps. That would include annexation. That would include additional right-of-way acquisition. Okay, for the roads to be constructed, including all of the things that go along with that when you do a road to the standard, which is stormwater, sidewalks, and the width, for the appropriate width for the utility locations that may need to be there either eminently or over the long term, additional right-of-way would be necessary. So instead of leaving until that ground to the east and the south is platted, they would ask for the dedication in a separate document. That dedication then would be filed. Once it's filed and we have complete legal descriptions, then we would annex those
I got you now. I
pieces
think
of
I was
ground.
thinking just the
So that we have
opposite.
the entire right-of-way within the city limits.
Perfect,
The purpose
yeah.
for that, just in case somebody out there wonders why that is, if there's a question, if there's an accident, you don't want to ask yourself, which side of the road was I on? Who am I supposed to call? Right? I mean, everybody's going to call 911, but who's responding? So we prefer to do the entire right-of-way at one time, but we need to move forward with these at this time. We will, however, seek to get the entire right-of-way in for the clarity that is there, and that's one of the provisions in the statutes, is so that there isn't a question.
Thank you.
And I want to stress, Commissioners, again to you and to our public that's watching, this is land that is owned by the city, okay? So we're permitted to annex our own land. We actually filed a voluntary consent for you to do that, and that's what you're doing tonight.
Very good. Appreciate your explanation there. Any other questions anyone have? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner.
I move that we approve the ordinance annexing land to the city of Ottawa.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion on this? Let's take a roll call vote, please.
How do you vote? Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
I vote yes, too. Motion carries. Thanks very much. We'll move on to item number 15.
2016 Street Rehabilitation Program Bid Recommendations.
The staff recommends acceptance of the bid from Vance Brothers, Inc. in the amount of $95,401.10 for a chip and seal at 10 cents. That kind of threw me off. I wonder how they got that, but that's good. It's exact. It shows we're getting down to the pennies here.
Give them a dime.
And a bid from Kittle Construction in the amount of $129,702 for a mill and overlay. Both bids combined are below budgeted amount of $230,000. I like using that word below. So, Michael, why don't you take the podium for us?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. At the first study session in February, I believe it was, I presented a street rehabilitation plan for this year, and it included upgrading more gravel roads, just like we did last year with the chip seal process. This year, I also added in a couple of mill and overlay projects that are in dire need of happening. So, as the opening comments were made, both of these projects come in well under the budgeted amount. Last year I asked you for permission to add more to the list. This year I'm not doing that because we've got several other projects going on. I'd kind of like to leave that buffer. We're attacking the gravel roads pretty well this year, and I believe with our plan going forward, takes us out to 2019 to get everything taken care of. So,
very good.
Subject to any questions?
May I have any questions on this?
I just would like to comment that I approve, or I not only do I approve, but I applaud you for being willing to attack the gravel street issue that we have here in our city. I know that that is something that has been heard year after year, well before I came on the commission. I'm assuming well before Commissioner Reed got here too. And so we're excited to see kind of the end of the road, if you say it, for gravel roads.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
That's good news. So by 2019, we should have virtually no gravel roads in town. That's the march to zero that we talk about, right?
That is the plan. Please keep in mind, oil prices are very volatile.
Right.
So we may have to adjust the next couple of years, but I believe that we can still, I still hope and believe that we can get everything taken care of by 2019.
That's great. And I assume that the good news about coming below budget had something to do with oil prices being in decline state?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I kind of wondered. Thank you. Any other questions? I entertain a motion on this item number 15 then.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner.
I would move that we accept the two low bids as discussed here by the Vance Brothers for $95,401.10 and Kilo Construction for $129,702.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, we'll take roll call vote, please.
How do you vote, Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
I vote yes, too. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Good job. Item number 16.
Consideration of city manager employment agreement.
The City Attorney Blaine Finch will review the city manager employment agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. One of the duties of the city attorney is to assist the commission in its annual evaluation of its primary employee, the city manager, the one city employee over which you exercise direct supervisory authority. And we have completed that evaluation. You'll recall that we had an executive session under non-elected personnel last month to complete that evaluation process. The document that you have before you tonight is the product of your evaluation. It is an extension of the city manager's contract for an additional year. These run on October 15th to October 15th years. And so in this case, it would extend to October 15th, 2018. It would add one more year to the contract. That has been past practice with this commission and this city manager to keep essentially a 3-year contract and to add a year on if evaluation and performance warrants it. There is an adjustment to compensation pursuant to consensus of the board. And again, we keep the same provision, slightly modified, about sitting down and having a goal-setting session for the year between the commission and the city manager. I did note that that is in order to facilitate the most efficient and effective city government for the citizens of Ottawa. This is not just about a relationship between the board and the city manager. This is about you all being good stewards of public resources and making sure that things operate efficiently and working in partnership with the city manager to make sure that he handles the day-to-day tasks that need to be carried out in order for the city's vision to be realized and in order for us to provide services in the best possible fashion to the people that you all represent.
Very well said. I was just thinking that we also witnessed on the news recently that Salvi Perez got an extension on his contract today, so you celebrate that commonality with him. Now, one was 50 million plus, one is not, so I'm not sure
This would be the one that is not.
Oh, it is not, okay, I just had to clarify that, okay.
Any questions?
I'll entertain a motion on this side.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner.
I move that we approve the city manager's employment agreement.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay, any other discussion? Let's have a roll call vote on that too, please.
How do you vote, Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
And I vote yes too, motion carries. I just want to add on to that I dealt with Rich a little bit before I got on the commission, and I really appreciate our friendship, and also once I got on here, I realized how much work this position really entails, and so Rich, I really do appreciate all your work and look forward to working with you in the future, so keep it up. Good job. Let's go right to the city manager now for your comments.
So I appreciate what you just did, commissioners. I'm always humbled by your faith and support of me and my role as city manager, and support really of Rita and I since we came to this community. It is a great community. It is a great community to serve in, and this is home. But I also want to tell you that the reason that you and I are successful is because of our staff. Every day, every employee gets up, thinks about how they can do the best job for the city. They don't set out to do mistakes. They don't set out to do harm to the citizens. They truly get up and think about how can we make a better city? How can we make the city to run on a day-to-day basis? And I'd be remiss if I did not say that and say publicly, thank you to all of our employees for what they do on a daily basis to serve our citizens in this great community. So thank you very much. you might kind of take that discussion we just had about chip and seal on roads, and I hope you're paying attention to the legislature, because there are not only attempts to tell you what to do in budgeting, but there are attempts to take money away from you. Director of Finance Byrd and Betty Simpson out of his office went up to a hearing on Senate Bill 403 today up in Topeka. Scott had provided written testimony, and he sat through that testimony. And that bill is an attempt to take the revenues, the fines that are paid to the city, not only from the general fines, but those that are on any highway like K68 coming through. And I can tell you that there was a statement made that there are no Fergusons in Kansas, and if you understand what happened in Ferguson, Missouri, besides a lot of not taking care of people, of all citizens in the community, they did in fact run a speed trap, and they had a federal investigation by the Department of Justice that said you're wrong here. You are doing this it's not about not having people do the same thing again, but you are running this as a speed trap, and I will quite honestly tell you that what they did was obscene. So, okay. But those are the kind of things that are happening on the state level that could impair your ability in the future to continue to move ahead in the manner that you want to move ahead. So, I would also tell you that we've been starting some new features on Facebook. Our IT department was upgrading our computers, and I asked them to do something because I'd like to kind of start doing in the effort to communicate maybe some not sermonettes but do a few homilies maybe perhaps on the Facebook about what's happening in the city, what's happening on what our agenda is on study sessions and regular meetings. And you'll see that starting it has already started. There's about 4 videos on the Facebook page, and I know that next week Mrs. Lee is going to do one on the Planning Commission. So that's part of our effort to get the word out about what we're doing out there. So please spread that amongst your friends and your family so that they can see that. And today is Dr. Seuss's birthday. How appropriate to have these young ladies with the scout troops here talking to you, because Dr. Seuss was all about young people. And he was born March 2nd in Massachusetts in 1904. And no, I wasn't alive then, Emily, so okay, I just want to let you know that. But Dr. Seuss, I talked about that on our little video on the city Facebook. Dr. Seuss had an impact, I would bet, on everyone in this room as a child, and is having an impact upon you with your children. I know it did with our family. So there you go. Thank you very much for what you do. Appreciate it.
Good job. Thanks, Richard. We'll go to reports for the city commissioners. Linda, you want to start us off?
I guess all of us are traveling to Washington, D.C. Sometime this weekend through a couple days there, and I'm excited to attend my first meetings on the national level of the Community Development and Economic Development Committee for NLC. And as I drive around Ottawa, I'm sorry I missed the groundbreaking for the USD 290, but I've driven by that site multiple times since. And then there's, hospital expanding greatly. Rock Creek Development Park we just talked about tonight. There's Freddy's, Price Chopper, there's the North Main Street Diner. It's just constantly developing in our city, and I'm so excited. So I hope to be able to learn some things in the next several days to be able to bring back to help along in that progress. So.
Great news. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate you serving that capacity, too. Emily, how about you?
I don't have anything tonight.
Okay. Sarah?
I again want to thank the Girl Scouts for being here this evening. I hope that one of those individuals that actually spoke to us tonight replaces us at these seats, replaces Blaine in his seat, replaces Richard in his seat, and we are, Girl Scouts are really helping to grow young leaders, and so that's always exciting to see that leadership come actually within our community. We will, I believe, I probably don't have to ask permission to say we will bring back as many good ideas, new ideas as we can from NLC to share with you, but also advocate for our community. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to do that.
Very good. Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Just in closing, I just want to say our hearts go out to the people of Heston, Kansas. My brother actually works in that plant as an engineer, and that particular day, he took off about an hour early to go home. He usually walks through the paint shop at the end of the day. About that time it happened, and so it's really a sad thing. We don't think it ever happened here. We hope it'll never happen here, of course, but we have to be prepared for it nonetheless. But we really, I know the people of Heston really appreciate the way the law enforcement and the ambulance crews worked quickly to get people to safety and get them to the hospitals, and there's just a lot of wonderful people out there helping out. It just reminds me about, there's bad people are rare, but good people are everywhere. And so when the community comes together like they did, I know our community would do the same thing, but it's just a sad test of our ability to handle something like that. But anyway, our hearts do go out to the people of Heston and the people that work at Excel. I do want to mention, too, that volunteers are needed for a work day at Ottawa Walton Park. That will be March 17th and 18th. That is a Thursday and a Friday, it looks like, from 1 to 6. And do we have volunteers, Wendy, or do you know of anybody? Okay, we got some numbers, people coming in. We're going to be building a pocket park, which is one of our visions, too, to continue to grow that area of our community. That's a park desert, is that the right word? Okay. Okay, so we're going to definitely get some people in there and make a park out of this, because we don't want the kids to have to walk too far to a park, and so we're looking forward to having people. Please volunteer March 17th and 18th from 1 to 6. It's at Walton Park, Walton Street, between South Burroughs and Cherry Street. And I guess looking at the announcements we have, of course, our study session's been canceled for Monday. We'll have our study session on the 14th. That will be at the Goppert Building at 4 o'clock. Then we will have our regular commission meeting, 9:30 on the 16th, 9:30 a.m. at the Courthouse Square Apartments. Everybody knows where that is, across from the police station, or the courthouse. Yeah, let's get that straight here. And that would put us at the wrong location. And then, of course, on the 18th, we've got a retirement reception for Chief Carner, so looking forward to seeing what that would be from 3 to 5 at Fire Station Number 1 on 2nd Street. Is there any other business to bring up tonight? If not, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.